That was Gaza's Underground Economy, a documentary by independent filmmakers Layla El-Haddad and Saeed Farouqi. In a moment, we'll speak with Gaza expert Sarah Roy from Harvard University. But first, for the Israeli response to the thriving tunnel economy in Gaza, we're joined by Allan Baker, Israel's ambassador to Canada. He's in Ottawa. Welcome to On the Map.
Thank you, Avi. Hi.
Hi. We've just seen a short documentary in which the tunnelers in Gaza say that Israel has created a black market economy by closing down legitimate economic activity. How do you respond to that?
Well, we try not to close the economic activity. We are trying to prevent terrorism, and if there were no terrorism, then all the ways of transferring goods would be open.
Apart from guns and drugs moving through the tunnels, we heard tunnelers and residents talking about heart medicine and car parts. Isn't this just the free market at work in the tunnel economy, that you have an economic stranglehold in an area, but people still have demands and goods arrive as supply?
This may well be, but the important thing as far as we're concerned is that these tunnels are supplying missiles and weapons and ammunition and guns, and these are for use against us, not against anybody else. And for this reason, as far as we're concerned, this is something that has to be stopped. And we tried to rely on international supervisors who are supposed to be preventing this.
Now, Allan, there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. I believe that's beyond dispute. According to the UN Relief Agency, poverty rate's almost 80%, unemployment over 35%, according to a variety of sources. People need work. Isn't it absolutely predictable that an underground economy will emerge when a legitimate economy is closed off?
It might well be predictable, but there's one very easy and quick way of ensuring the increase in people crossing over to work in Israel, as it was in the past. Stop the terrorism. That's the one way. And if Hamas were to agree to the very basic conditions that not just Israel but the whole of the international community are asking them to stop the violence, to acknowledge legitimate undertakings by Palestinians in agreements with Israel and recognize Israel, then this wouldn't happen at all, and everybody would be free to travel.
Is that this same Hamas which was elected to government early this year, that you just scooped up 33 more legislators and put them in jail, the same Hamas that you've been targeting for extrajudicial assassination? That's the same party and movement you want to agree to these terms? Well, it doesn't strike me that negotiations are particularly ongoing between Israel and Hamas, is my point.
There are no negotiations. Hamas is a proud and admitted terrorist organization whose aim is to get rid of the state of Israel.
Who is responsible for Gaza at this point in history, in your view?
Nobody really knows, and this is the tragedy and this is the problem. We would hope that Abu Mazen, Muhammad Abbas, the president, the Rais of the Palestinian Authority, he would be able to exert control, but he's unable to do so. And so you've got a whole load of warring factions, militias, mafias, who are trying to fight to control each other. And so in actual fact, nobody's in control and nobody knows what's happening.
But is it not true that Israel controls the borders, the airspace, the crossing of people and goods, even the birth and death registries? Isn't it true that Israel still controls Gaza and has effective control over it?
No. We control the airspace. We can prevent maritime exit and entry if it's terrorist-oriented, but the amount of control that we can exert on the passages is not always 100%, and this is part of our problem, that there are people who are trying to get through who are doing so to carry out acts of terror, and this is the problem. This is the beginning and end of the whole thing. If there was no ongoing attempt to carry out terror, then we'd be able to live in bon voisinage and somehow manage.
We always hear about security, terrorism, and violence, and we never hear about the fact that there is no functioning economy in Gaza. Wouldn't that be in Israel's interest to have a functioning economy in Gaza?
Avi, it certainly would, and in fact we've opened the border crossing points for materials and medicine and things like that until 11 o'clock every evening. But it's not Israelis that come and try and blow up the crossing point. These are Palestinians who are intent on rupturing this possibility for their own reasons. So it's not so simple. We would want a viable Palestinian economy it would be in our benefit. It would reduce the amount of terrorism. But there are those within the Palestinian society in Gaza that have other interests, and this is the problem, that they're ruining it for everybody.
We're out of time. Thanks for being on the map.
You're welcome.
When we come back, de-developing Gaza, we dig deeper into the underground economy. And the G8 loses its grip and lets Africa go again. That's all on the map in 3 minutes.